everyone, it's Miss Jess from the Monroe Street Art Center, and I have another project today for our collaboration kit with Mystery to Me, the book Winter is Here by Kevin Henkes. This is a mixed media project. We're going to make winter snowy trees, pine trees. Okay, for this project, there's a couple of things that we need from our art kit. You guys are gonna find 3 craft sticks, whatever colors you have, go ahead and grab those. You have 2 pieces of green paper, 1 light green, 1 dark green, we're gonna use those. And you have a bright sheet of orange paper. This is going to be our background for this project today. And then the last few things, you're gonna find a sponge inside of your kit. We're going to use this to do some printing today. And then a small container of white acrylic paint that we're gonna use as well. Acrylic paint is a little tricky to get out of clothing, so before you start this project, make sure you have a tablecloth over your art space and maybe some art clothes, and then we can get started. Okay, for this project, the first thing I'm gonna do is add my snow to the background. To do the snow, we're going to make our own stamp. Using this sponge, I could cut out a circle shape, just like this example, that is going to be my stamp for putting in my paint and then putting on my picture. So this one was a circle shape. Today, I think I'm gonna cut out a different shape, not a circle, but instead, maybe more like a letter X. I just wanna see how this one turns out. So I have a big, sharp pair of scissors. This really helps to cut the sponge because it is kind of thick. These are brand new sponges, so they're gonna feel a little bit weird at first. But let's see how this turns out. I'm gonna cut off a couple shapes here, almost making like the letter X, because I want some crisscross snowflakes. So take your time, think about this. Notice how I'm also cutting off pieces of sponge. With my extra pieces, maybe I want to save those. I could have a couple different stamps out of one single sponge. Okay, so I'm pulling off my extra pieces. This is starting to look like the letter X a little bit. Here we go. Cut off a little extra. Cool. Letter X. And then I'm gonna keep all my extra sponge pieces just off to the side. I might want to use them. We'll see. Okay, now today for my painter's palette, I'm just gonna use a paper plate. I've got my little white container, so I'm gonna open it up here and just portion out a little bit onto my paper plate. Voila. And then close the lid. This will keep it really nice, right? Now that I've got my sponge, here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna dip it in my paint. So with my letter X, my fingers are probably going to get messy on this part, and that's okay. I can always wash when I'm done. I am spreading that paint all around, making sure that my sponge is totally covered, right? Looks good. Now, these are going to be my snowflakes in the sky. So now that I've got snow on it, I'm gonna flip it upside down and press and peel it up, and it leaves the letter X. Oh, excuse me. Now I'm gonna do it again. Dip it again, get a little bit more paint on there, dip, dip, dip. Maybe I want my X's going in all different directions. This is like a crazy snowfall. Crisscrossing all over the sky. Oh yeah, this is super cool. I'm glad I went with this X shape. Now I'll hold it up here in a second so that you guys can see. But I'm just pretending that these are what my snowflakes look like. Yours could be circles, triangles, squares. There's really no wrong way to do it. And every snowflake is unique, right? No snowflake is like another snowflake. They're all totally different. Now I'm gonna have some going off the page here because I want this to look like snow is falling from somewhere, right? It's falling from the sky, falling down onto my snowy landscape. Ta-da! I think I want a couple more just to make this nice and bright. Cool. Now, I do want to have some solid snowy spots at the very bottom of my picture. I got a few spaces to fill in here. There we go. Okay, how cool does that look? Filled with snowflakes. Now, remember all those scraps in the beginning that I cut off of my sponge? I'm actually gonna take one of these and fill in, since this is a nice big square, I'm gonna fill in all that space along the bottom to be like snow underneath my pine trees. I need a little bit more paint, so I'm gonna open up my container one more time, portion out a little bit more for myself. Woo! Lid goes back on. And then I'll do it again. Roll it around in the paint. Nice and covered. And then I'll print this all across the bottom. The cool thing about using a sponge to do this project is that it leaves a little bit of texture, kind of like a real snow. Soft, fluffy. Maybe there's a hill in the middle. Cool. Okay. Ta-da! Now, this is a little bit wet, so I'm gonna have to let this dry while I kind of work on the next part. I'm gonna scoot it up here. Now, this is where my 2 pieces of green paper come into play. I'm gonna cut out a really simple design for my tree. It is a triangle, right? Just triangle shape. You can make yours more complex than that if you'd like to, but this is definitely the easiest way to do it. If I stack my pieces together, like this, dark green and light green, right? And I cut into it a triangle, by holding them both together, I'm gonna get 2 of the exact same shape of triangle. So I'm gonna have 2 tall trees, 1, 2, and then maybe I have space for 1 little fat one in the middle. So I'm gonna cut one out again, right? So I still have all this extra paper. If you wanna cut out more than 3 trees, you are totally welcome to cut out more than 3 trees, okay? To make my trees look a little bit different, I'm actually gonna use markers now to add some details to it. If you notice on these trees, this one has a whole bunch of little dashes, right? This one has thick stripes on it, and this one has a whole bunch of little fringe coming off the sides. So you can do any kind of design you want to on your tree. I'm gonna open up my markers here. I just have a case of Crayola markers. Let's dig in here. I think instead of using green today, I'm gonna use black for mine. I want them to stand out really bright. My first one, I'm gonna keep this really simple. I'm just gonna have it be a stripy tree. Something like that. Okay. For my next one, maybe I'll do some of those fringe. I kind of like the way that looks. It starts by looking like stripes, right? But then in the middle, I'll draw a line, and tiny little fringe coming off each one. Fancy tree. Okay. For my last one, this one's gonna be a little crazy and it's gonna be a polka dot tree. So I'm gonna put polka dots all over it. Small ones, big ones, itty bitty ones. You can use different colors. It doesn't have to be just black. You could draw a little bird or an owl sitting in one of your trees. Maybe there's a squirrel who's found an acorn. I don't know. You guys can get creative with this. I am just showing you the most basic way to decorate. Come up with something really cool, really colorful. Okay, there's my polka dot tree. That's pretty fun. All right, I'm gonna get my paint out of the way here. Now I'm thinking about adding my trees to my snowy landscape. My paint is still a little bit wet. Something you probably are gonna wanna do is give it a little bit of dry time, right? That way you don't smear anything. For the sake of this video, I'm just gonna risk it all and go ahead and do it. If you want, this is an option, since I have colored craft sticks, if you wanted yours to look a little bit more realistic, like a real tree that has a brown trunk on it, feel free to take a brown marker or brown paint and just color over them. So I could very easily turn my yellow craft stick into a brown craft stick, or a yellow craft stick into a red craft stick, right? Whatever kind of sticks you want. Okay, just some ideas for you. Now, you're gonna need a glue stick in order to stick your trees onto your craft sticks and then stick the craft sticks onto your background. So what I'm gonna do now is put a generous amount, right, because I don't want these falling off, generous amount of glue, and my glue stick's purple, so you won't be able to see it on my purple craft stick here, but I covered just like the top third of my stick, top half of my stick really, and then I'll pick out a tree, stick it together, push really good, right? I don't want these falling apart. There's one tree. I'll do the same to the other two. So glue, glue, glue. If you get a little chunk of glue on there, even better. Then it's really not gonna come off. And my last one, Glue, glue, glue. Ta-da! 3 trees! Okay, to stick these down, I'm gonna flip them over and put glue across the paper part and across the wooden stick because they're both gonna be sticking to my paper. And my glue stick is purple here, so when I hold it up, you'll kind of see where I put the glue all over it, right? It's getting really curly. So now that it's really curly, make sure I do this in the right direction. I will add my trees and stick them down. Stick, stick. My hands are getting messy. Time for my next two. Roll my glue stick up a little bit. Good amount of glue, nice and generous. Really don't want them coming off. My other tall tree will go maybe on the other side, and then I'll put my fat polka dot tree right in the middle. Okay, and then the last one. Oh, cute. Now, I do have one final step that I'm gonna add to mine. Inside of your kits, you guys are gonna find a few of these glitter stickers that were left over from our Christmas Carol kit. And these are perfect to add to this project. They are just stickers. So we peel the back off and you can add these anywhere. Maybe I have some snowflakes falling on top of my trees. This one's a nice dark blue one. Maybe this is a really cold and icy one. I'll put this down at the bottom. Okay, it's really up to you. Let me peel one last one off here. And voila. What awesome snowy trees. And everyone's is gonna look a little different because we're all gonna come up with a different stamp, okay? So have fun with this project. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.